Alright, let's get started. Once you print your pattern off at craftpassion.com, you're going to cut 8 of these. So I do 2 of a print and then the other 6 out of just a plain cotton. I then get my wire, and for each mask you're going to need a piece of wire about 4 to 5 inches, and then I roll it at the ends with my little looper tool. And then I just kind of pinch the ends of it so that they're not anything sticking out, not any that's going to snag the material. You'll need 2 pieces of this, your 1/4 inch elastic, or your you can use this cord elastic that you can find in the jewelry department of most craft stores. Or in my case, I just cut some spandex material into 1-inch strips, stretched it, and it rolled up on itself, and people are saying that this is really comfortable, so this is what I'm using. So you'll cut those probably 10 to 12 inches. You'll need 2 of these, or you can opt to make 4 and have it tie in the back instead. Mine just kind of wraps around the back of the head. So that's what you'll need, and next we'll go over the process of putting these together. Okay, so you have, I usually cut 2 of a pretty print. This one's polka dotted, and I put them face to face, faces together, so that the pretty side of the print on the fabric is facing each other. And then I take 2 white ones. Now you can use 2 or 4 printed ones, but I'm going to use white because I just want to, the printed material is a little more expensive and I want to save that as much as I can and use more white. So then what you'll do is you'll take and go to your sewing machine and you'll sew, or your hands, you can sew it on your hands, but this is 4 layers and you're going to sew them together like this, okay? And you're going to take 4 also for this is for the front, and then for the back you need 4 more, so that equals 8. And I just use all white for the back, and I just sandwich them together, all 4 layers, and I sew them up like this. Okay, now once you've got those sewn up, I'll show you how to turn them to where there's no seams showing at all in just a second. I'm going to sew my 4 right up and down through here with my sewing machine. Okay, so now I've sewn up the curved edge right along here on my front pieces and on my back pieces. And now I'm going to turn them. So it's going to be hard for me to do this one-handed, but I'm going to try. So I just try to flip it over. So it's on the white side now. So I'm going to flip just one panel of it over this way. And now I'm going to turn this upside down. And then one panel of the printed material, I'm going to open it up the opposite direction. And so you have, hold on. So you have no seam on this side, and no visible or seam allowances back. It's all inside. It's all going to be inside. And I'll do that with the back portion as well, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, so now I've got the front and back pieces both turned and pinned together. Now, on the back portion of this, it doesn't matter which way you face it, but you want to make sure that your pretty side is facing in so that you don't see it on either side of this complete project just yet. And then you're going to run a stitch from one end all the way to the other. One thing I did leave out was you may need some straight pins to hold things in place. Now, when you go to this seam right up here, when you go to placing the seams together in the middle, try to make it to where one seam allowance is going this way and the other one is going the opposite direction, so therefore you're not having to run over or sew through 12 pieces of material. It's spreading them out over this little area and over the bridge of the nose, keeping your bulk from building up. Okay, so I'm going to make this seam, and then I'll meet you back and show you what to do next. Alright, you've got your seam from one end all the way across the middle to the other end of this little heel. It's like a little heel. And I've back stitched here and back stitched there, just so when I open this up and do my next portion, it doesn't rip apart at these seams here. You want that to stay together. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take this over to my iron, and I'm going to fold these edges. I opened it up like this so that the back is over here and the front is over here, and I'm folding it over like this, kind of like a hem. And you can fold it over however far you're comfortable folding it. If you have a serger, you can serge these ends here too to keep it from fraying out. Otherwise, you just fold it over and run a zigzag stitch to hem it. And I'll show you what that looks like as soon as I get done finishing it. I'm just going to use the zigzag stitch because I know everybody doesn't have a serger. Okay, now as you can see, I've ironed this over to form my little hem. So this just goes up the sides. This is I'm showing you how to do this so that both sides are open, and it's kind of like a little sleeve that you can slide another filter or a secondary disposable mask in. They just make your disposable mask last longer if you have a way to keep them in a pocket and covered with fabric. So meet you back here in just a little bit. Okay, so now I've run my zigzag stitch up those little hems that I made earlier. And I can show you what it looks like from the front. Okay. And now we're just gonna turn it back with the right sides facing together. And then I'm gonna stitch up the bottom here, and that's gonna form kind of like a sleeve. And you're gonna turn it right side out, press it, and then we'll add the top stitching, the wire, and also your straps. All right, now I've got that bottom stitched up, and see I've got an opening here and an opening here, so I could put something all the way through that if I wanted to. So now I just turn it and press it, and we'll go to the next step. Okay, and now we're going to run this top stitch over the top, but before I start that, I'm going to just insert my elastic cord about at least 1/4 inch inside the sleeve, and get it as close to the top as you can, because what you're going to do is you're going to run your top stitch over that, and I'm going to get to about right there, and then I'm going to back stitch at a diagonal this way, and then go ahead and front stitch, and then keep going until you get to about an inch away from the end. And then while it's still in the sewing machine, I'll insert the wire into that channel, and I'll try to show that to you as well as I can with one hand and sew with the other in just a second. Okay, so what I've done so far is I've ran over this. It's like I said, 1/4 inch inserted into the end of this here at the top, and I've made about 4 stitches. And now I'm going to lift the foot and turn it diagonally to where it's going to run backwards. I'll push this back button while I'm sewing, and while I'm doing that, it'll go at a diagonal, and then I'll go ahead and let go of the back button and let it come back to the place where I started from. I hope that makes sense. And then I'll just, like I said, continue over the top of the nose, the bridge of the nose here, and get to about right at the other end, and then I'll show you from there what you do. Okay, so now as you can see, I'm at the end of that, the top portion. And I don't know if you can see, but this is where I started, and I went about 4 stitches and then done the diagonal back stitch here, about 4 stitches back, and then 4 stitches forward to back to where I was at in the first place, and then all the way across the top, and I'm right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this foot, and I'm going to get this wire here, and I'm going to push it in there, and it goes in fairly easy. And then I'm just going to work it to where I'm not in any danger of running over it with my needle. And now that it's in, you don't have to worry about it at all. It's not going to come out. It's in that little channel. And then I'll take and do the same thing over here as I did over there. I'll take the same piece of string, or you can get another piece of elastic or string or whatever, and you pull it on around, and you just connect it at the top just like you did the other before, and just hold it in place. And let's see, I just let my sewing machine foot down, hold that in place, and do the same thing as you did to begin with. Is front stitch to the end, then back stitch at a diagonal about 4 stitches, and then back again, just to make sure that that string gets caught in those stitches. Okay, so here's where I was at the end. I stitched all the way to the end, and then got here, back stitched about 4, and then forward stitched again about 4, cut my threads, lifted my foot, and it's done. So now what you've done here is basically put the wire and the strings and the top stitching, in all at the same time. So you've got your wire in there. And now on the bottom, you'll do the same thing, but without the wire. You just go ahead and insert your string on this side, back stitch it, stitch all the way across the bottom, and get to here again, insert the string, sew all the way to the end, back stitch, forward about 4 stitches, and then you're done. Alright, so I've sewn up that bottom and put my little string in. I have a fully finished mask that's got 2 open ends, so you can slide whatever filter material in there if you want to. And then, or you don't even have to wear any, because it's 4 layers. It's 4 layers thick, so if you don't even really need to, I guess. But the safer the better, as long as you can breathe. And that's it, folks. I hope that helps. Maybe it's a better tutorial. Like I said, I'll post all of the materials that I use in links to them on Joann's and Pinterest for the pattern, and then Amazon shopping for all the tools and stuff. One thing I forgot to mention was that my sewing machine has this feature where I push this button here, and when I stop sewing, the needle stays in the fabric so that I can move and manipulate the fabric around without losing my stitch placement or having to cut my thread. So if your machine has that feature, make sure that before you lift that to put the wire and the string in there, that you go ahead and utilize that and make sure that you have your needle is still in the fabric in the down position so that you can twist and turn the material. Just makes it easier. All right, that was it. Thank you.